So I've been asked to share my story today on my journey through the leadership program and the impact on both myself and Assiniboine Credit Union. So when I was first approached by my vice president in early 2013 about my participation, I was definitely lukewarm to the program. In retrospect, my mindset at the time, which I was unaware of, was there's two managers in our division at the time, and one of us was going to attend the leadership program in the first cohort, and the other one wouldn't. So, as a competitive move, I took the spot, even though I wasn't sure I wanted it. As I sat through the first couple of leadership sessions, I thought about how I should have let the other manager go. I didn't require any leadership training, my work was being completed on time, and other people were definitely at fault for everything that I thought was wrong. Then I completed my leadership evaluation and received my personal profile. To no surprise, I was an introverted thinking type leader. As a surprise to me, I exhibited a lot of negative behaviors in the workplace. I felt undercompensated, unappreciated, becoming really extremely introverted under periods of stress, and just awful to deal with. So this low self-awareness of the way I was really having an impact on my self-leadership and on everyone else at work. So I read over my profile and I thought, okay, it's inaccurate. So my coach, I did attend the coaching very reluctantly, and she suggested I let my wife read it. My wife's response was, "You didn't know this already? You've been dragging this home for a year. Go back to coaching." She offered to drop me off and pick me up when I was fixed, actually. I also, just a double check on the wife, asked a couple of other leaders at Assiniboine Credit Union. So on projects where they really wanted me at the table to participate based on what I brought to the table, they wanted me there, but they didn't necessarily want me there due to the growing negativity. I was sort of a required wet blanket, which wasn't always the case, which is probably why I was still being invited. But it had developed over time, and there was a desire to see a little more of the old Andy back in the workplace. So I continued with my coaching sessions because where I was mentally no good for me, and by association, no good for Assiniboine Credit Union. It's very hard to have productive communications, meeting, work relationships when you're walking and spoiling for a fight. So over time, though, my self-awareness increased, and I started working with my VP rather than against her, because that's always such a grand choice to fight a VP, to make some changes. So being an introvert, I have a little voice in my head, and it just loves to tell me how bad I am at everything. So when I get a few external offhanded remarks, that's just fuel for the fire that's already inside. So it sits there talking away. So I figuratively started to stick a big piece of duct tape over the little dude's mouth, so he can talk away all day long. Like right now, he's nattering away about how this is not going so hot. But I can't really hear him because it's a lot of from him, and I just get more done because I'm not listening to him as clearly. And by being more aware of this, I can self-manage myself. I can be a better self-leader. My vice president at the time, and I also changed how we communicated. She's a very red, extroverted leader wanting to tackle the next challenge, take the next hill. Whether she wants the hill or not, that's incidental. It's a hill to be taken. Low attention to details, which is what I'm paid to provide. I'm paid to provide research and analytics to back up a decision. So by her slowing down a notch or two, and by my speeding up a notch or two, we got along better, and we started accomplishing more because there was less time being spent figuring each other out and in conflict, and more time getting work done. Another thing I did is I started putting more conscious effort into being more optimistic and happy, like Cheryl over there, a yellow leader, where they see the bright side and the opportunity and everything, and I see what's wrong 6 months down the road. And by not walking into work looking for a fight and trying to be more pleasant to be around, people start to notice. So in short order, with a change in attitude, by realizing it was on me, not only did they need me on the projects, but they wanted me there. Pleasant to be around a little bit. So again, the productivity goes up because you're not fighting with your project teams. And with that increased visibility, that somewhat countered the I'm unappreciated part, because people notice that, who wants to be around this guy? Well, now they do. The majority of my interactions at work are with senior leaders rather than peers. So I had a chat with my coach about this too. But having the senior leaders going through their own leadership stream definitely helped in making progress, because otherwise they would know I'm trying something new out on them when I'm approaching my communications. They go, oh, so that's how it's going to be, huh? But I think they found some gaps in their leadership programs that contributed to some of the issues we were having. So over time, and it's only been a year and a half, things have become much more productive. So I also learned along the way that while I can manage my own self-leadership, I can't really control other people. I can have a bit of influence, but I can't control them. So again, more time doing work, less in conflict management. So in short order, I ended up being more or less back to the old Andy. A little bit more how I was about 3-4 years ago, that people missed. So now I say yes to things like presenting to you guys, where when I started the program, I would have said I'm busy that night without hearing the date. All in all, not a bad little correction to my leadership journey. And that's the end of my little speech. Thank you.